everybody, and welcome back to another New Age DFS UCL slate breakdown.
This one's interesting for sure. We got four of the more low-scoring teams compared to these previous UCL slates where we got all these high-scoring teams. So the first game we got is Chelsea and Lille. Chelsea
You say high-scoring teams in the last game. They're all 1-0s and 1-1s.
Well, Man City was 5-0.
Okay, other than that.
So we got Chelsea.
I bet you weren't expecting 1-1 between Salzburg and Bayern.
Nobody was, for sure. But they all got points anyways, except Lewandowski. But here we got Chelsea minus 333 favorites. This is the projected line, but this is it. I'm assuming Ziyech sets, maybe Alonso with him as well. In terms of plays here, we'll get into that later, but it's quite tough for sure. And then Lille, we got Bamba, who should be on. We wouldn't be surprised if we saw Yilmaz taking some sets or even Jeka, which is they're just a mess. They're just very boring. I don't know if you're going to want to target too many on them. Yep. And then this game, Villarreal Juventus, low total, dead game. We got Villarreal
plus scores 20. Minus odds.
Yeah, probably for a 1-1 draw, which I'm expecting in this one. Villarreal plus 145. Sets here is Parejo. We don't really know about Lo Celso or Moreno. They could both split.
I think it'll be one of them splitting, in my opinion.
And then we got
Moreno with Parejo.
Danjuma on PKs. I think Villarreal is probably the second team to stack, I guess. That's not Chelsea. And then we got Juventus, in which we got the lock of the slate, Cuadrado. Especially if he's here, he should take everything in this team, playing as a right mid, defender eligible. And now we're going to get into the pricing. So what stands out for forward for you?
Forward. I think my favorite forward is probably Danjuma. He's got a decent floor and a pretty good matchup. They're actually favorites against Juve at home. So I don't mind 8,600 for them. And there's obviously like any of the Chelsea pieces could go up. I know Lukaku had a terrible game over the weekend, but he's still the main striker for them. So always interesting. And Pulisic, also someone who burned a lot of people, especially the Victor.
No, people. I don't want to talk about him. He let me down.
He's in play here for sure. 7,600 on the biggest favorite on the slate.
If he couldn't do it at 5K against Crystal Palace, I don't know if he's going to do it at 76 versus Lille. But I think my favorite forward, other than Danjuma and what people might go to, Lukaku. I mean, you think of Lukaku, you think of a guy who scores in these big games. He did it for Inter. It's a big game, and maybe
he hasn't done it for Chelsea yet.
And you're going to be tilted when he's at 1 point at halftime, and maybe 2 points after 75 minutes. But once he gets you the only goal on the slate, and he gets you that 14, you're going to be hyped about it. So, also, I think the other guy who's also boomer bust is Vlahovic.
Yeah.
He had a floor for his first few Serie A games, but then last game he just did nothing. He committed like 5 fouls and had a shot or something. So I think for GPP for sure, but cash, I'm going to pass on Vlahovic.
Morata, I think, is a YOLO GPP play too. He's been playing on the wing and actually been doing winger stuff. Like he gets a foul drawn, he gets a couple crosses.
He's also
kind of interesting.
I feel like he always shows up in the Champions League too. I feel like in these later games, it's like, wow, Morata sucks. But then when it gets to these games, Morata just won you the game in the 90th minute. So maybe for a GPP for sure. Keep going down. I think the only last guy here that's actually going to play is Tim Weah. He might not touch the ball, but maybe as a punt forward in cash, you're hoping for like a 6 maybe from Tim Weah.
Yeah, at best. I don't know if 6 is even in his realm of stuff he does, but maybe.
He's American, so maybe people will just pick him because he's American and they see.
I believe they'll do that. I'm not saying he's not going to be owned.
And maybe if we see, I think if Pulisic doesn't start, Havertz is someone I like a lot. If he starts on the wing, I think he does a lot more. I think he'd be like my second favorite behind Danjuma, Lukaku, and then him. So we go to midfield. The decision on the slate is whether you want to play 10-4 for Ziyech. I'm leaning yes. What about you?
I think he's a core play. I think he'll likely take all the set pieces. Even if he doesn't, he gets shots, key passes, fouls drawn. He's just very active. And there's not a ton of options here on this. Like you said, a lot of low-scoring teams. So I think he just plays these and forget about it. The rest of your build can go around him.
So we've got all these star-studded players that are out for tomorrow. So we scroll all the way down here to Parejo, which I think is another decision. He's like a Tony Cruz, but takes less set pieces, always gets to 10. Do you want a 10 for 71 on a 2-gamer?
In cash, I think he's in play. In GPP, I think I'll be staying away from guys like that. I'm just not sure he has the upside I'm looking for. I'd rather go maybe down to Lo Celso to pay up at forward maybe, or lower than that to Rabio or something.
Just guys like him are just, they're so tilted because he's playing so deep. You're just hoping for a corner. You're like, please get a corner.
Yes.
And for 7,100
on his side.
Yes, and you don't want to hope for a corner on your side at 7,100.
He's also not in penalty kicks, which is part of his appeal before. But now Dan Juma looks like he's set to just take over.
Yeah. Next, Jorginho, GPP only. Hope for a penalty on a 2-gamer. Next guy I like a lot. Yep, Chukwueze. He's just in a good spot, whether he succeeds or not. But 5,800 on the wing. I think Juventus, they're pretty battered right now in terms of their first team. So I think
a lot of injuries.
I think you go. Chukwueze is like my second favorite mid behind Ziyech as of right now.
There's one mid I think I like more. You'll see a little bit down there. Is Jonathan Bamba. I think he'll likely stay on set pieces. Monopoly most likely 4,500. I think it's worth a go.
On the wing, he doesn't have the best matchup, but he's just priced as where if he gets 8 to 10, and it gets you good pieces elsewhere, you're happy.
Yeah.
We keep going down here. It's pretty barren. I mean, Jekka used to take sets, might not. I think if you're GPP flyers, Rabio's a guy who sometimes gets there. Zakaria might be popular. I think he's going to be, even though he doesn't have logs, I think Zakaria is going to be popular. What do you think?
I like Rabia more than him. I know he scored the other day, but he's a deep lying midfielder, and I think that's more of a fluke than anything else.
And just one guy to mention if he were to play. He might not play, but just to throw him out there, Ben Arfa at 3,200 might take over Bamba. At least you'll have a side.
Yeah, he should take with Bamba.
3,200. I mean, you can't pass up. He might get subbed, but when people see 3,200 in set pieces, they're just going to gravitate no matter what, whoever the player is.
Yeah, especially an attacker too, not just a defensive midfielder.
Right.
Okay.
Like, it's not like he's playing CDM. He's playing left wing, right wing, 10. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
And defender. So we got the Chelsea guys obviously out. I think you decide what you do with Alonso because Cuadrado we already discussed. He's a lock and load. It really doesn't matter the lineup. I think you just play him.
Yep.
Set and forget. If you're playing 100 lineups, he's probably in 100 lineups.
Yep. All agreed.
What are you doing with Alonso though?
I was experimenting with builds earlier, and I like him a lot, but it's hard to fit in with how expensive most of the good forwards are and the midfield. I think you can go him if you're going to punt like a cheap forward, like a Yilmaz or something to make him fit. But otherwise, it's very difficult to fit in. So
next we got Alexandro. He's not
play
really
for me, overpriced for
not my kind of guy.
Yeah.
Aspi, I don't mind. He's coming off a groin injury. He's supposed to play. He's good for. He's probably the second safest besides Cuadrado and Alonso, so third safest fullback on the whole entire slate. I'm not paying 5. Why is Thiago Silva 5K? What?
He scores in the Champions League. It's what he does.
5K? He doesn't even have a goal.
He assists in the Champions League. It's what he does.
He's a 6.4, but man, I'm not paying 5K even in GPP for Thiago Silva. Pedraza's kind of interesting. He crosses a lot, but we'll see. It's not the ideal matchup. Deschiglio, if we somehow don't see Cuadrado, he could hop on set pieces.
Yes, if it's some by miracle, it's none of those guys. We could see a Distiglio and awful.
And then he would become the lock and load play in every lineup.
Yes.
Then we got Alberto Moreno, who I think is in a really good spot. If he's in projected like we see
If there's
here,
no Lo Celso, which he's projected in, I love Moreno. Even with Lo Celso, he's still interesting playing that high forward.
even so, if he's playing left wing,
Yeah.
I mean, 4,700 is really good. All these guys, I'm not paying 4,300 for the Chelsea center backs. That's just ridiculous.
They're always in play for GPP. Like, that might win it as a Chelsea center back goal.
But you don't want to just play them on an island. You want to play them with Ziyech or Alonso.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having Ziyech in like probably 80% of my lineups. So I will be definitely pairing him with like every center back combo at least once.
Are you gonna pay 3,500 for Juan Foyth?
If I need him for my build, I will put him. I like Celik more than him for 600 less.
De Ligt always good for a center back goal sometimes. I think the last guy to mention is Zeki Celik. I'm sure in cash he's going to be very popular, but GPP is probably not a must. 2,900 fullback. He's just one of those guys. You don't really see him get the points, but he gets the points. You know, we got 4 tackles in 2 games here, so you're just hoping for a game like that from a
like a 4 would honestly be fine for 2,900.
Right. On an ugly slate with these 4 teams.
There's not going to be a ton of ceiling, I imagine. So you'll take the little 4 you can get.
And finally, goalkeeper. Are you just going to go Mendy and forget it, or you think some of these guys have upside?
I think Mendy, if not Mendy, maybe a Szczesny, since I think he'll probably be the most balanced action to chance of at least maybe getting a clean sheet. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that game 0-0, and I think if it's 0-0, Szczesny likely outscores Mendy.
I think what we've been seeing, quickly, we'll finish off, but as we've been seeing in the Champions League, goalkeeper has been, like, deciding the slate, right?
Yes, so a lot of times the losing goalkeeper's been the best one, like dropping us to 16, so like 10 saves, losing 1-0.
And you're paying like 3,700 for him, and he gets you everything else. So I think, as much as I think Hardim is definitely still in play, you know, just for that logic. Even if you want to pair him with Lukaku and hope that he actually touches the ball and shoots at him, you know, raw points.
Yeah, the Chelsea just don't score a lot of goals either, so it could pay off.
I think the story of this slate is get the raw points. You don't need to really go crazy.
Yeah, you just don't need a ceiling chase at all here, I don't think. But saying that, there's very little floor to pick from. So it's a tough balance of that. I think you're playing for 1-0s or 1-1s in a lot of these games. A lot of just the floor options that you do have, like your Ziyech's, Cuadrados. Then maybe one-up punts from there, like Lukaku or Danjuma or Chukwueze.
So just as a reminder, we're going to have scores for every slate in our Discord in the description, free of charge until the end of February. For the showdowns,
one more week left. Last week
we got the classic course, even the EFL Championship. We got the 2 showdowns tomorrow. We're gonna have them already pumped out. So hopefully you guys join us and follow us on our socials in the description.
And what other sports do you cover, Victor? That people can also.
We got golf. We got a tough golf tournament this week, a fun one for sure. We got showdowns for all of that. We got classics, so we'll see. And hopefully you guys join us there, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Yep, later, guys.